Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Today we're going to be talking about the latest stories from the Outlands cinematic and all the characters that took place and how they may relate to other characters in the Titanfall and Apex story. Could this be Ash? Could this be Viper? Could this be Revenant? Could Horizon be Pathfinder's creator or Horizon's son? There are so many theories going around on the internet that I've heard, and I want to debunk some and potentially prove some others. So we're going to be looking at the timeline to see if facts match up, to see who these characters could really be. We're going to jump in with the biggest one. Is this Ash? This is obviously quite obvious at this point. I very highly doubt that this isn't Ash, and everything lines up. So first, let's take a look at the story that leads us to believe this is Ash. Besides us sharing a very similar physical appearance and voice to Ash, everything matches up to say that Horizon and Ash knew each other and Ash betrayed Horizon. We know at the end of the Season 5 quest, Ash was saying a load of random words that turned out to be things that Horizon herself said later on.
Just a wee bit of betrayal before breakfast, eh, dearie?
We found this out later because in one of the Twitter teasers, Horizon basically says this.
A wee bit of betrayal. Say, dearie. That was so daft.
Ash said it before, it matches up. The other thing that really matches up is that in the end of the Season 6 comic, Fisk says an old friend has finally returned, and that is very much going to be referring to Horizon, who Ash obviously betrayed. Now, to definitely cement this in fact, obviously there's always that 1% that Respawn could be bamboozling us. It's actually kind of crazy how easily they've given us this story. Usually they kind of make things extra complicated, but this time it's basically been served to us on a plate. So I am 1% expecting a bamboozle, but 99% it's Ash, and the timeline matches up. So we don't know exactly when Horizon will join the Apex games, but we can assume it's the year 2733, like everything else that has happened in Apex Legends so far. So 87 years ago would be 2646. Now we know that Jack Cooper was born in 2687 thanks to the first mission in Titanfall 2, which means that the Frontier War, at least when Jack Cooper took part, was most likely between the years of 2707 and 2727. That means Jack Cooper met Simulacrum Ash 60 years after human Ash appeared in these stories from the Outlands cinematic. That gives 60 years for human Ash to go and die and be reborn as a simulacrum. Now, if you didn't know what a simulacrum is, it's essentially a human's consciousness that's been uploaded into a robotic body. And as they are sort of brought back to life again and again and again, they lose more of their memory. Now, Ash in the Titanfall universe forgot who she was, and she wanted to know who she was. She knew that she likes experimenting, and, well, so does Horizon. She seemed to be a scientist for sure. We don't know why Ash betrayed Horizon, but it may be tied to the war in some way. Either way, this is very likely Ash. The next story we're going to be looking at is this voice Viper? Another iconic Apex predator in the Titanfall game, and it sounds very similar as well. Listen to this.
Viper's on station.
Uh-oh.
Your journey ends here.
Another Apex predator.
Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. Do you have it?
Now the voices sound very similar for sure, but there are some people that may want to debunk this by saying it's humanly impossible for Viper to be alive at this time. Let's take a look at the timeline again. So this voice line would have been heard in the year 2646, which say it sounds like Viper at this point is maybe in his 20s to 30s at the youngest. Once again, that's going to be another 61 years before Jack Cooper meets Viper in the Titanfall 2 campaign. That means at the very youngest, Viper would have been 81 in Titanfall 2. That seems a little bit too old to be fighting in a war, right? Well, there's two things that could have possibly happened. One, Viper regenerated. We know that regeneration is a thing in Titanfall 2, although it happens in the multiplayer and it's sort of seen as a lore piece to just make sense of when people prestige. Essentially, you reach the highest level and you do something called regeneration, and they just added this lore into there to kind of make it seem a little better. Nobody in the actual story has regenerated as far as I understand, but at the end of the day, they could always pull that card at any point and say a character just simply regenerated. When you regenerate, what happens is you sort of get your body refreshed, you get a new body and you lose some of your memory. Now, I do strongly believe that Respawn wouldn't pull this card on a character. You lose some of your memory, I don't think it makes sense. However, even without regeneration, the Viper theory isn't out of the window. It's not as likely as Ash, but it is possible. And the reason for this is Viper isn't confirmed to be a human. We never get to see Viper's head, and Viper's hands look robotic in Titanfall 2. There is a theory that Viper is a simulacrum himself. Once again, even in the year 2646, simulacrums were around. We know that from Revenant, which we'll talk about in a minute. So, could this voice be Viper? It's plausible for sure, although not 100% confirmed, like in Ash's case. Or 99%, I suppose. The next story is that Pathfinder may have been created by Horizon as a robot to look after Horizon's son. Now, this could be a possibility, but the only thing is Pathfinder woke up 30 years before the current time in the year 2703. Pathfinder would have been booting up whilst Horizon was still stuck in the event Horizon. So that doesn't quite match up. Why would Pathfinder wake up at this time specifically? I don't see why that would make sense. And also, I'm pretty sure Pathfinder's warehouse where he woke up is actually on the planet Solace, not the planet Samathi where Horizon is from. The other theory is that actually Pathfinder was created by Horizon's son to sort of be there for Horizon. Horizon's son never gave up in hope, and he always believed that Horizon would come back just like she promised. So maybe as Horizon's son got into his old age, he built a robot to greet Horizon with. And this is definitely a possibility. Horizon's son would have been in his 60s when Path first woke up. So it's totally possible, but why wake up on Solace? That doesn't make sense. Maybe something with the war happened, we don't really know. But another thing is, if Horizon's son wanted Horizon to meet Pathfinder, why make Pathfinder have no memory? It's a potential storyline, but it seems a little flawed for now. So, you know, it's open, not dismissed, not closed, but it's kind of up in the air. The final one that I've seen a little bit is that Horizon's son might actually be Revenant. It's in the past, right? Maybe something happened and Horizon's son turned into Revenant. Now, there's a big flaw in this problem. Revenant first booted up as a simulacrum in the year 2420, and Horizon's son was just 5 years old, or, you know, very, very young in the year 2646. So 200 years after this, Horizon's son was born, and Revenant was already around killing everybody at that point for 200 years straight. So yeah, that one's debunked. Now, another thing is, a lot of people are curious what happened to Olympus. It's definitely something related to the IMC war. We don't really know why Ash stole the Branthium, but it may also be related to something the IMC wanted. We know that Branthium as a material or element is a very powerful material that may have some relation to time and space. This may tie in to the Fold weapon, which was sort of this planet-destroying weapon in the Titanfall 2 campaign that, you know, the IMC wanted to build to destroy militia planets. Could it all be related? It definitely could be. There is no flaws in this story, there's just not enough information to go off of yet, but perhaps Ash betrayed Horizon so that she could get the material she needed to build the Fold weapon to win the war. We don't know, it's definitely possible, we'll have to wait and see. So that's it, thank you so much for watching. I think that's all of the theories covered. Let me know your own thoughts. If you have any of your own theories, leave them down in the comments as well, and I'll see you there. Cheerio!